Hello everyone, this is Pooka and welcome to another game I played on the Pokemon Trading Card Game Online from Bad Deck Monday. And that means we're going to have an interesting deck for you guys in this video. In this one, I am going to be using a Vileplume deck. Of course, Vileplume has that ability, which makes all weaknesses times 4 in play for both you and your opponent. And that allows you to do some crazy stuff. This deck is going to run Vileplume, and then one attacker of every single type. And then we are going to try to hit for weakness using Silver Bangle. We're hoping that our opponent plays a bunch of EX Pokemon down, because the way the math actually works out, if you have something that does 20 damage, and you have a Silver Bangle against an EX, that makes the base damage 50, and when you factor in Vileplume's Allergy Panic ability, that's 50 times 4, and all of a sudden, something that does 20 damage now does 200 to an EX. For example, that Stunfisk in my hand can Muddy Water with a Silver Bangle against a Thunderous EX for 200 damage when Vileplume is in play. Even Oddish with a Silver Bangle can use Acid, which does 20, and it can actually use that for 200 against a Keldeo EX when you have a Silver Bangle and Vileplume in play. So obviously this deck is a little bit absurd. It takes a lot to get going, we'll just say that. But if it ever gets to pull off its magic, that's pretty much the best way to describe it. It is magic. It's awesome. You get to do 200 to EXs. As you can imagine, it is extremely difficult to pull off, but we'll see if we can do that here. I am going to level ball for a Munna, since I do see that Deoxys EX on the bench. And Munna, I'm going to go ahead and put a Silver Bangle on it with a double colorless can Ram, I think is the attack, for, 20. I can hit the Deoxys for 200, basically, when everything is set up. I put a Blend Energy onto Oddish. I was planning on using Absorb for 10 damage this turn, but hey, after a Chorus for 5, I draw a Tropical Beach. So we'll go ahead and use that. I could bench the Cobalion EX, but I don't want it to get hit by Frost Spear, so I think I'm just going to hold it in my hand this turn, and Tropical Beach for 3, and that's not a very good hand, but oh well. The reason I run Cobalion EX in this deck, there's two reasons actually. There aren't very many good metal Pokemon to attack with. I think the only thing that can do 20 damage for a single energy card is Durant, one of the plasma ones. And there's actually no EXs that are played that are weak to metal. The biggest problem is actually Kyurem. Of course, Kyurem is 130 HP basic, not an EX, so Silver Bangle doesn't work there. And it is weak to metal, so we have to run something else to deal with Kyurem, and in this case it's going to be Cobalion EX. Now my opponent is having some troubles. Looks like the program is dying on him. Says a lot of the cards are just completely black and he can't see them. So he asked me whether or not his active has a Floatstone or a Silver Bangle on it. And I tell him it's a Floatstone. Looks like he's going to go ahead and Ultra Ball here. And, I may get a free turn to kind of do something. And yeah, he's going to Ultra Ball for a Keldeo and then Tropical Beach for 7. And this is going to give me a good opportunity. And wow! I actually top decked a Heavy Ball, and we're going to get a Vileplume into play, baby. Alright, so all weaknesses have become times 4 once this bad boy hits the field, and that means we can go ahead and retreat into this Cobalion EX, play a Prism Energy down, and watch this Righteous Edge 120 for 1 energy. Now, unfortunately, that does not knock out Kyurem. It does, however, discard the special energy on it, so Cobalion EX, turns out, is a really nice card against Kyurem. Not going to knock it out in one hit, but a very good counter, and really the only metal Pokemon you can afford to run in this deck, because if you just did the same thing as you do with the other ones, and run a Pokemon that only does 20 damage, well, you're only hitting Kyurem for 80, and Kyurem's going to hit you a lot harder than 80. So we need Cobalion EX to cover all of our types here. Metal just happens to be the one type where we need to deal with a non-EX attacker most other types don't really have non-EX attackers when you think about it. There are few and far between. I mean, there's stuff like Absol, but that only has 100 HP, so you can kind of deal with it. So yeah, Kyurem is really the only one we have to worry about. Of course, there are decks like Garchomp, but nah, who plays that? Alright, so we do have a catcher onto the Vileplume. One of the nasty parts is that it does have a 3 retreat cost, so that is really a bummer, but it does have 140 HP. So normally it does not get knocked out in one hit. And it resists water, which is actually really nice against Kyurem. So Kyurem really won't ever knock it out in one hit. They would need, what, 4 Deoxys in play to knock out a Vileplume? I think so, which just isn't going to happen. And I actually top deck a huge card here. I get the Hypnotoxic Laser. I only actually play 1 in this deck, and it is actually for this purpose. So I can knock out a Kyurem in one hit. And go figure, everything is falling into place. See, we do the Righteous Edge for 120, and then the final 10 from the Poison to knock it out between turns. And we just knocked out a Kyurem in one hit for 1 energy. This is Vileplume in action, baby. We'll see if we can, kind of go the distance from here on out. But so far, this has been kind of silly, wouldn't you say? Cobalion EX it has dealt 240 damage so far in 2 attacks for a single energy card. Pretty sweet. Alright, so we do see an energy go onto the Kyurem, and we're going to see a Chorus from OPsyduck, or OPsyduck, I don't know how to pronounce it. Anyway, we see a Chorus machine. We already have a blend energy on the Kyurem there, but the Keldeo is stuck active. No, never mind, there's a Float Stone. But what is he going to do here? I mean, he could retreat and Frost Spear, but is it really worth it? You're just going to hit the Cobalion and then get knocked out immediately. It doesn't seem like the best way to go about this, but we'll see what he does. He could just kind of use my Tropical Beach again. Actually, he did not use Tropical Beach. He actually passed, which was a little bit of a blunder there. Now, I just go ahead. I'm probably going to have to play my hand anyway, so it won't even matter. I do want to draw some more cards here. We're going to catcher out that Kyurem and then N. And, that hand isn't so great, but I did get some more supporters to work with. And we're going to take a 2-prize lead against a Plasma deck. Normally one of the fastest decks in the format. We are taking a 2-prize lead here with this Vileplume deck on Bad Deck Monday. Can we actually continue to put on pressure and win this game? I don't really know. Anything can happen, though. I mean, my hand is actually looking incredibly strong right now. I have a Skyla. I can search for whatever trainer I need. If I need a Float Stone to retreat, I can do that. If he happens to knock out the Vileplume this turn, I can just grab a rare candy. And then I have the Silver Bangle in hand to deal with whatever comes out. So this hand is perfect. I can definitely take 2 prizes on my next turn if I keep this hand. We do see a catcher. So, he's going to try to stall up the Vileplume again. This is actually why I put the blend onto Vileplume. It is a 3 retreat cost, but maybe I'll be able to pay it at some point. With a double colorless, I can just retreat. If I can't draw into a Float Stone, that'll be my way to retreat it. Might as well put it there. It wasn't really doing much on any of the other Pokemon, so might as well just put it on Vileplume. And, in a weird circumstance, I could use it to attack. I think it's like Pollen Spray. Does 60 damage. I could knock out a Keldeo at the end of the game, maybe. It's very unlikely, but who knows. Here is a Thundurus, though. We're going to see a Raid Knuckle for 60. And that Lugia EX is kind of scary, I'll admit. It can do all sorts of terrible, terrible damage. But I am still ahead 2 prizes, so I'm not that worried about it. My hand is actually decent. And I do have the Tropical Beach out there, which is really cool. That is really making me kind of N-proof here at the end. Where, I'll just be able to fill my hand up to 7. I'm in no real rush to keep taking prizes. I am in the lead. So I can take a turn to sit back and use Tropical Beach. I do have this Skyla here. I'm probably going to use that to get a card to get Vileplume out of the active spot. Seems like my best bet. Because I don't want Vileplume active. He's got a 3 retreat cost. So I'm going to go ahead and Skyla here. I can search for any trainer card I want. And, normally in this kind of a situation, you might say, well, I'll grab a supporter. But since Tropical Beach is in play, I'll be able to refill my hand up to 7, so I might as well just grab something I can play. I'm not going to attack this turn. I'm just going to go ahead and Tropical Beach. So we'll put a Float Stone on the Vileplume, and then retreat into Stunfisk, since it doesn't even have energy on it. We'll promote him as a sacrifice, and then beach my hand up to 7, and that is a horrendous looking hand. Now, one of the problems with this Vileplume deck, one of many, is that you are trying to fit so many cards into one deck. Just think about it. You need a Vileplume line, which is probably going to be like 3 Oddish, 1 Gloom, 3 Vileplume, and then Rare Candy, and then 1 Pokemon of every single type, and then 4 Silver Mangle, and then all the energy for all the different types, and Revive rotated out, so you need to run Super Rods to shuffle in the Pokemon when they get knocked out, because I only run 1 Pokemon of each type, so there's a lot to fit into one deck. But off of this N, he actually gave me a better hand. So check this out. We're going to Skyla for a Silver Bangle, and here the strategy is going to, come into full fruition here. Look at this. Silver Bangle onto Stunfisk with a Prism Energy. I'm going to go ahead and Ultra Ball for Emolga, just to kind of prepare for the Lugia that's coming, because Emolga is my lightning attacker. It also doubles as a Call for Family starter, which is really nice. But with the Static Shock, Silver Bangle, we can knock out a Lugia EX in one hit. But look at this. A Stunfisk with 1 energy, 200 damage to a Thunderous EX. Is that not the most ridiculous thing you've ever seen? Stunfisk just used Muddy Water for 200 damage, and my opponent says, what? This is awesome. I gotta say, if you ever want to have fun playing a deck, well, a lot of the times you're not going to have fun playing this deck because you're just not going to set up and you're going to get destroyed. But when this happens just one time, it's so much fun. Just to see your little stupid Pokemon, well, they're not stupid, but your little basic Pokemon that really don't do much damage are dishing out 200 and knocking out big EXs in one hit. It's really a cool concept to see. Now we do see a Tool Scrapper. It's going to discard my Floatstone and my Silver Bangle, which is kind of a bummer, but that's alright. I think he's used 2 Tool Scrapper at this point, and he'll probably knock out the Stunfisk. He probably has to at this point, otherwise he could be in some trouble. And alright, we do see a DC onto the Lugia, and he's coming out for a Plasma Gale. But this means I'll have an opportunity to actually win the game. I can promote Emolga, and I have that Dowsing Machine in my hand that can go for a Chorus for 9 cards. And yeah, these are 2 cards I don't mind discarding. N and Lapras, that's my water attacker. And we can grab a Chorus for 9 cards. If I get a lightning, something that provides lightning, and then a Silver Bangle off these 9 cards, I win. I do 200. So here we go, and oh, nope, never mind. Alright, that did not work out so well. One of the horrible parts about this deck is that you run so many types, so you can't actually run basic energy. You don't really have space for it. You just have to run prisms and blends, and you can't really Super Rod blends back in, so that's kind of a bummer. But you can see some of the other attackers I run. Combee is probably my favorite. Does 30 damage for 1 and then shuffles itself back in. Knocks out a Keldeo EX with a Silver Bangle. Combee. Yeah. Okay, so this turn, I do have a Chorus, so I don't need to beach. I'm going to Righteous Edge here and discard a double colorless off of the Lugia EX. Probably set it back a turn, so it won't be able to Plasma Gale again. And now, I just have to knock out one more EX. If I can pull it off, I'll win the game. But easier said than done, that is for sure. I have that 2 retreat cost, Cabalion EX active. I've burned through a lot of resources at this point. My opponent has only played, looks like 2 ends so far. So, I don't know. It could be tough. He's going to rush in and retreat to the Thunderous EX. And it looks like we're going to see Raiden Knuckle for 60 damage. which is okay. Cabalion EX doesn't mind that too much. Now I draw the Stunfisk off of my top deck here. I'm just going to take a look here. Um, Now if I kind of go for it and put the Silver Bangle on the Stunfisk and then go ahead and try to chorus for the win. That's what it would be basically. If I could chorus into something for fighting energy and then a float stone, I can win. But I'm deciding to play it safe with a Silver Bangle. I don't want to attach it until I really, really need to. And oh man, the Silver Bangle, the energy. No float stone though, so I can't retreat. Cabalion EX is stuck in the active spot. What a bummer. And probably going to get knocked out by Lugia next turn. My opponent did have a DC in hand, so probably getting knocked out by Lugia, I would assume. And, just kind of accounting for that, we're just going to attach to Emolga and kind of say, alright, look, if you're going to go after something, you're going to have to go after this Emolga if you want to win. Otherwise, well, if you bring up Lugia and knock out my Cabalion EX, Emolga's going to respond with a Silver Bangle and a Static Shock for the win. Alright, so we're just going to attach the energy to Emolga in case of an N or something like that. And Righteous Edge to discard the energy off of Thundurus EX again. And this is probably going to be the turn that decides the game here. If my opponent comes up and uses Plasma Gale with Lugia, I might actually just win. Now if he catchers out the Emolga and knocks it out, then we might be in a weird situation because, well, I don't know what I would do from there, honestly. Well, if he did that, depends on what he knocks it out with. Alright, if he knocks it out with Thundurus, then I can just promote Stunfisk and win. Alright. If he attacks with Lugia, then I can just promote Cabalion EX and discard the double colorless that'll have to be attached, and he won't be able to Plasma Gale again. Alright, so this still seems like a decent position no matter what happens. And I don't know, it's looking tough. It's looking like it's going to be really difficult to close this game out, but it's definitely in reach, and it looks like my opponent is deciding to just raid and knuckle, realizing the situation, realizing, alright, if I knock out the active, he could just knock me out with Emolga. So it's probably not worth it. And, alright, so is this the turn where I just kind of go for it? I have the Silver Bangle, the Prism. I just need to draw a Float Stone, and I'll probably play the Juniper if I want to do it, because I'll be discarding so many cards and then drawing most of my deck. Whereas with Chorus, I'd be drawing more, but I'd also be shuffling in like 7 cards, and I really just need a Float Stone to win the game. So we're going to attach that Silver Bangle onto Stunfisk, and it's going to be a big Juniper. I have 11 cards left. I'll be drawing 7. We need 1 Float Stone or a switch to win the game. And here we go. Are we going to get the Float Stone? Yes, we got it. Oh my goodness. So once again, Stunfisk is going to come up and Muddy Water for 200 damage for 1 energy. Stunfisk has wrecked 2 Thundurus EX with some massive Muddy Water. And that is one of the most ridiculous games I've ever played in my life. Look at all those Pokemon in my hand. Rayquaza, Lapras, Combee. And we won the game with a Stunfisk. Alright, hope you guys enjoyed. I love this deck. I hope you guys do too. I have been Pooka from the Top Cut. I will have some more videos for you soon. And I'll see you guys next time.